Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to week 9 of the college football season. It's kind of hard to believe it's week 9 already, but here we are. Got some news and notes for you guys today with a little game preview rundown of this weekend's games. And as usual, Terry and I will have the recap of the weekend on Sunday night for you guys. So let's get into the main news. Florida has some more COVID outbreak or positives, whatever, at this point. Florida's a shit show in that regard. I think it's something like 39, 40 players total. They didn't play last week against Missouri. No, they were supposed to. Excuse me, it was LSU. Sorry, it was LSU. They got Missouri this weekend. Mullen tested positive. His wife tested positive. They haven't even been practicing. They went back to practice this past Monday, but they didn't practice for a full week. Or 2 weeks maybe. So last Friday, we watched Wisconsin destroy Illinois. True redshirt freshman Graham March goes 20 for 21, 5 touchdowns, QB rating infinity, 1 million. He tests positive along with Christ and a couple other players. But as we now know, the Big Ten totally screwed the pooch back in August. And instead of taking a page from the SEC, Big 12, and ACC, building in bye weeks and then having a week off after the last game of the season, and between that game and the conference championship game, for things like this to build in rescheduled weeks. There's no margin for error in the Big Ten. So now this weekend's game against Nebraska is canceled. No postponement. It's just straight up canceled. The rule states he's got to be isolated for 21 days, as is everybody else that was near him or who has tested positive. So rule states, to be eligible for the conference championship game, you got to play 6 games. They are in danger of not getting 6 games right now. And that's what's going to happen in the Big Ten. Heaven forbid that happens to Ohio State. That'd be funny. But that's the news and notes. And like I mentioned, Ohio State. Let's get to Ohio State, Penn State. This game was on Halloween night at Penn State. So normally you would have a whiteout. All the students would get in the game, students and fans. They'd be white, it'd be crazy pandemonium, be awesome atmosphere. That kind of helped the Nittany Lions through the game like it did a couple years ago. Not going to have that this weekend because they're afraid of coronavirus and you can't have any fans in the stands. So there'll be no whiteout. So it'll basically just be a night game. And Noah Cain, star running back from Penn State, who's a great player, by the way, he's out. Penn State's down to the, I think, 3rd or 4th string running back. They looked like garbage last week offensively against Indiana. Shot themselves in the foot multiple times, including, I think, going 3 for 6 in the red zone. This team had a chance to hang with Ohio State if everyone's healthy and they're under the right circumstances. But it's a big ask, and I think Ohio State's just going to roll them. Penn State, you got James Franklin. He's a good coach. He's not an elite coach. You guys recruit pretty well. You don't recruit at an elite level. Look at all the top guys you have had committed to your program or have been at one point in time virtual locks to commit to Penn State and went elsewhere. You had Justin Fields committed for quite a while. He's now playing for your arch rival. So it is what it is. Penn State's a good program. There's on the level of Ohio State. I had some Penn State fan on Twitter telling me that their running back room was the best in the country. I don't know what kind of drugs they're doing up there. I know jobs are scarce in Pennsylvania right now, so maybe he's on meth. I don't know. But the level of delusion is off the charts, really. They have no chance in this game. In order to have a chance, literally everything in the world has to go right for them, and that's just not going to happen. The law of probability isn't on their side this weekend. Ohio State rolls. So that game's out of the way. Let's talk about some of the other games. Friday night, Big Ten action. Minnesota at Maryland. Minnesota came off a tough loss Saturday night versus Michigan. Minnesota should bounce back and win this game easily. I really like what the Big Ten's doing here. They're staggering their schedule. They're doing a Friday night game, then they're doing a noon game on the Big Ten Network and ESPN Network. They're doing a 3:30 game, and then they're doing the night game on ESPN, and another one some weeks on the ABC Network. So they're really getting their brand out there for everybody to see. And I really like how they're doing it this year. It's pretty much the only thing the Big Ten has done right so far this year. So that's Friday night. Not really any other games worth noting on Friday night. Maybe East Carolina, Tulsa. Saturday, you got Boston. Good noon slate this week, Saturday. You got Boston College at Clemson. BC's got a pretty good defense. I don't really expect them to hang with Clemson, but maybe they can, kind of hold them to maybe 17 first half. We'll see how it goes. Georgia versus Kentucky at noon on the SEC Network, a game of SEC's two of the best defenses in the SEC. I don't really see a whole lot offensively from Kentucky. Georgia's offense, they look pretty good first half against Alabama. They look pretty good in spurts first few games of the season, so we'll see if they can put it all together against a pretty good Kentucky defense. I don't think they will, at least 4 quarters. I do think Georgia will win this game handily, but it's not going to look that pretty, at least for a half. Michigan versus Michigan State, or Michigan State at Michigan at noon. Should be a good game. Really surprised Mel Tucker didn't have a better showing his first game. He's a good coach. I believe in him. He's going to recruit well. He's brought in a lot of JUCO guys, a lot of transfers. I think he's going to be all right, but Michigan takes this game. Then you got Kansas State at West Virginia. Sneaky good game in the Big 12. I've been saying all along, watch the Big 12 this year. Kansas State's undefeated in conference play. West Virginia's a pretty damn good team. That's going to be probably the game to watch in the noon slot this week. So going down, you can jump into the 2 and 3 o'clock slot. You got Notre Dame at Georgia Tech, whatever. Notre Dame should win handily. Indiana at Rutgers. Indiana should win that game. LSU at Auburn. That should be an interesting game. I think LSU's going to take it. I think after last week against South Carolina, a lot of people are picking South Carolina to win that game. I really believe LSU's starting to turn the corner, both offensively and defensively. I think this spells a little bit of trouble for Auburn. I think Auburn goes down in this game. TCU at Baylor, another battle of the possible contenders in the Big 12. Both teams unranked, but both teams could spoil somebody else's season very easily. In my opinion, the game to watch in the 3 o'clock slot, well, technically it's 4 o'clock, would be Texas at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State undefeated and undefeated in Big 12 play, undefeated on the season, versus Texas, who's got a couple of losses. I think Texas can win this game. If they do, it's against number 6 Oklahoma State. That might cool the seat for Herman a little bit, maybe. If they lose, it's all but over for them. Season's over. I think Herman's out. But they've got a pretty good chance to win this game and, again, throw turmoil into the Big 12 because Oklahoma State was kind of running away with the conference. They throw turmoil in the Big 12, and we have got another Wheel of Destiny type situation in the Big 12. Let's scroll down to some of the night games. Boise State at Air Force, 6 p.m. should be pretty decent. Alabama, Mississippi State, as nobody cares. We all know how it's going to go. Arkansas, A&M, sneaky good game. Arkansas has been very good on defense this season under Barry Odom, defensive coordinator. They're a pleasant surprise in the SEC. They've won a couple games. They should have won 3 games. Or maybe not 4. I don't really know what their record is. But Texas A&M's looking like the second best team in the West. Might look pretty good on the resume, beating Arkansas. It's Arkansas, but still, they're pretty decent this year. I think they're a much better team than Auburn, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State in the West. So should be a pretty decent game. Missouri at Florida. Florida's finally going to play. Have a feeling Florida's going to give a bunch of Missouri players the coronavirus this weekend. Pretty sure how that's going to go. But Florida at Missouri, Missouri at Florida, 7:30 at night. That should be pretty good. Missouri's putting up some points, and their defense isn't half bad. Florida's defense is crappy. So we should kind of maybe see a shootout Saturday night. So that should be pretty good. I'll probably be watching that game on one of the TVs, but having Penn State, Ohio State on the big TV in the living room. You go down to North Carolina, Virginia, 8 o'clock. North Carolina is going to just continue to roll. Oklahoma at Texas Tech. Oklahoma's going to win, and they're right back in the thick of things in the Big 12 now with Iowa State going down. They still got 2 conference losses, but I'm not willing to count Oklahoma out. It's kind of like the old Saturday Night Live skit with the Dub Bears, where they're like, Chicago Bears are 0-7, and I'm not going to count them out, my friend. I kind of feel that way about Oklahoma. No matter what happens, I'm not counting them out. as much as I'd love to, because I just can't stand Spencer Rattler, I'm not counting Oklahoma out. So going down the list here, I don't see any other noteworthy games. I don't see BYU. And you all know how much I love watching BYU. Oh, there they are. 10:15 at night again. Western Kentucky at BYU. BYU's going to roll, and I hope I can stay up later than I did last week. I fell asleep just before halftime. I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get to watch more of Wilson, but I'm going to try to stay up and watch him this week. I'm telling you, if you can do it, watch BYU as many chances as you can. This kid's going to be one of probably the first 3 QBs drafted this coming NFL draft, so just check him out. So down here, you got the postponed and canceled. North Texas at UTEP postponed. Wisconsin, Nebraska canceled. It's just canceled. Not indefinitely, not postponed, just canceled. So anyway, I kind of rambled on this one, but I just want to get through this week's games with you guys. It's been a rough night. The hurricane went through, so I'm working on about 3 hours of sleep. But anyway, that's my rundown of the games and some predictions. I don't like to give scores too much, but I just like to tell you guys who will win. And I'm not really into the whole betting thing. Might get that way with Terry later on. Get him involved because he's a little bit better at that than I am. I just like picking who I think is going to win. I'm not really. I can tell you who's going to roll, who I think is going to roll, but I'm not the best at the spreads. I don't even look at the spread for the most part. So that's this weekend's games. A lot of good noon games and a couple of 1 or 2 decent afternoon games. A couple decent night games. Should be a fun week of college football. And we'll see you guys back on Sunday with Terry. All right, take care, guys.